I'm literally telling stuff that is going to hurt me, but I'm doing this to help everybody watching this. Social media is toxic. Social media makes you feel depressed. Social media makes you lonely. You and I have heard these claims before. I was super late to join the social media game. I got Snapchat the summer before my 10th grade of high school, I got TikTok my junior year, and I finally got Instagram April of senior year because I felt a pressure to fit in and stay connected with everybody through these social media apps. But then I became addicted. Addicted to scrolling on TikTok, searching for some amusing content, addicted to going on Instagram to see people's glorified posts about their lives, and addicted to watching people's Snapchat stories, all based on the actions on these forgettable apps that were meant to dull my mind and prevent me from making progress in my life. Today, I will explain why I deleted every single social media app off of my phone, including YouTube, and why it's important to do so and beneficial to do so that you will feel better about your life and yourself after doing so. I'll demolish every single popular app that you can think of. First, TikTok. What got me started on this journey of deleting social media from my phone was me studying for an exam that I needed to do well on to get into grad school. And TikTok was the first off of my list, because if I looked at my screen time, I guarantee TikTok was at least a third to a half of it. It was terrible. So I deleted TikTok, but there's always this running joke on TikTok that people on Instagram Reels or YouTube Shorts are always 6 months late to the trends that happen on TikTok, which is pretty true. But there's also the other joke of people who feel superior because they deleted TikTok. But I can say with certainty that as soon as I deleted TikTok, I just slowly crept back into looking at Instagram Reels or YouTube Shorts as my main method of short form content indulgence. TikTok was the first to go off of my list, but then I just went back around to Instagram. And the best part about Instagram is scrolling down through all of the posts and seeing people's glorified life experiences to make you feel terrible about yourself and the progress you have done in your life. So Instagram was the next to go off of my list. Firstly, because it had short form content on Instagram Reels that was literally wasting my time in the same exact way as TikTok with a worse algorithm. And in addition, the stories and posts that people would put on my feed were just showing off glorified life experiences that made me feel terrible about myself and gave me major FOMO or fear of missing out. Instagram only ruined my perception of my life and made me less happy, which is why it was the second to go on my list. And once I deleted Instagram, the same sort of logic applied for Snapchat. A lot of the time I spent going on my phone implicitly as a subconscious activity was going to look at people's stories and going to do something with the few minutes I had in my day. And I was inherently wasting it on going on these apps. Snapchat and Instagram have the same problem. Snapchat also has its former short form content, although it's much less used than TikTok and Instagram Reels, but it also had the stories, and it gave me a sense of feeling connected, even though it provided very little in return in reality. Thus, I deleted Instagram and I deleted Snapchat. Another app that I have to address is BeReal. Now, my opinion on this may be skewed, or my perspective may be skewed, because I never actually downloaded BeReal because I never agreed with the way that it ran. The timing of having an app randomly notify me within a 24-hour period was not something that I wanted to stress about, because I literally deleted all the apps that gave me notifications on my phone unless they were either messages or phone calls. And even with messages, I don't get a ding when they happen. I just leave the notification as a silent notification, and when I go on my phone, I can see the message. The only thing that actually gives you a notification is a phone call. So apps like BeReal were never of interest to me. I never found it something that I could agree with because I didn't want a bunch of people to peer into my personal life like that. Moreover, the idea of BeReal notifying me at a random time to make me stressed about that and to not post something within 2 minutes was not something that I wanted to add on to with the busy life that I already had. BeReal to me is showcasing the lack of a social life that one has in many cases, and although that may be a thing to make people feel less lonely, it's inherently at the cost of your own reputation and your own vision from your friends. And although the people you are close to see more of you as who you are, a lot of the people who are distant to you will still be looking inherently as to who you're hanging out with, how many people you hang out with. When a lot of the times, the stuff that we do in our lives that will make us progress, such as building a business or doing work, is best done by ourselves. And there's no reason to showcase that on BeReal, because it inherently doesn't add anything to your life, and you already wouldn't feel FOMO or lonely if you didn't have it in the first place. So BeReal for me was never something that I wished to download. Now, the extraneous apps. Facebook on one hand was easy for me to delete. The only use that I have for Facebook right now is that it's used to invite people to events or to make events and invite Facebook friends to those events. but that's the only reason to have Facebook for me right now, and there's no reason for me to have it on my phone. Also, I never had Twitter, but again, Twitter is just a space to see some short thoughts, learn some small things. Again, I don't think it's worth it to get it, and if it's just another reason to go on social media and waste time, I don't think it's worth it with the little knowledge that it may provide you. Besides that, there's also the app of YouTube. And the thing that most YouTubers inherently leave out of the discussion of deleting social media is the fact that, oh, you can keep YouTube and stuff like Netflix and Hulu. While Netflix and Hulu is another form of addiction to watching content and sort of wasting your life away, I don't see anything inherently wrong with choosing to watch some sort of long-term video, because it doesn't drain our concentration and it makes us focus on one thing. It's a little bit closer to reading than short-form content will ever be. However, the problem with the YouTube app nowadays is that YouTube has been infiltrated by short-form content, specifically due to the rise of TikTok and Instagram Reels. And YouTube Shorts have then become my main vice as to what I do with my time. Again, there's always the argument that, oh, I learned something from these short-form content videos. But then on the other hand, couldn't you be doing something more impactful with your life? Couldn't you be spending more time learning a purposeful hobby? That was the logic that made me decide to finally delete YouTube. If I ever wanted to watch a YouTube video, I could log into my account on my laptop and be more purposeful with the reason as to why I was going on YouTube. YouTube has a lot of great content to see, YouTube has a lot of great stuff to learn about, but trying to go on my phone to watch YouTube will ultimately lead me to just watching shorts most of the time, because I didn't want to commit to watching long-form content, and if I go on my laptop, I'm inherently less inclined to watch the short-form content because it's not as adapted to fit the wide screen of the laptop. So that is the reason why you need to delete YouTube, despite what other content creators are telling you. You need to watch YouTube if you want to from a laptop or from another device. Again, I'm literally telling stuff that is going to hurt me, but I'm doing this to help everybody watching this, because YouTube was my exception. YouTube was my thinking of, oh, I can use this because it's long form content. I content create. I need to have it. But the shorts form, unless there's an option to get an app that they make that does not have the shorts form, or they make YouTube Shorts a separate app, I do not want to download the YouTube app, and I won't download the YouTube app because I'm inherently wasting my time on it, and that is the reason YouTube needs to go. Now that social media has been deleted off the phone, there is a lot of questions or worries that people have about doing this. Inherently, one is the fear of not staying connected. And the ironic thing is that as soon as I deleted apps that are meant to connect you, like Instagram and Snapchat, I felt more at peace with my life. I felt less FOMO, I felt like I actually connected more with the people that I hung out with, and I felt that I could focus on stuff in my life and have a good balance between a social life, academic life, and anything else in between. I believe that a lot of the pressure for kids to get social media is the peer pressure of trying to fit in, of trying to seem cool. And in middle school and high school, I find that pressure to be very, very strong. Lesser so in college and as we get into the adult world, but it is still present. The need to fit in, with a tribe is an ancestral part of our human biology. Because when we were hunter-gatherers, if we lost our tribe, if we were kicked out of our tribe, we would die. And that was something to fear. But now in this world, we can do so much alone. But although we do need company, we do need friends, we do need family, we do need social interaction because we are social creatures, the fear of getting kicked out from the tribe does not have as bad of a consequence as it did in our ancestral times. Social media, although it gives us the illusion of having friends, like having hundreds of Facebook friends or hundreds of Instagram followers or people we follow back, inherently the question to ask myself or the question to ask yourself is, have you actually ever made a connection or gone to see people in real life because of an Instagram follow that you had? A lot of the times Instagram has a purpose in connecting people that you meet around a general area. Sometimes you want to follow them as a sort of introduction to getting to know them. And that reason is inherently fine, but do you really need the app to do that? The reasons to use Instagram or Snapchat are so minimal, and the friendships that one gains from social media, in my experience, are very limited, if ever going to happen. So the fear of being lonely because of deleting social media is completely unjustified. And unless you have somehow made a ton of friends just by Instagram DMing them or reaching out through Snapchat and actually making a genuine connection with this person and meeting true friends like that, I honestly doubt the validity of feeling lonely because of deleting social media. Furthermore, deleting apps like Snapchat and Instagram will also make you feel less lonely because as soon as I deleted Instagram and Snapchat, I immediately lost the FOMO because there's no stories to look at. There was nothing to compare myself to. And because of that, I felt much more satisfied with my life. I felt much more happier about myself. And I got to enjoy life in peace without thinking, oh, what do I have to do this weekend? I have to get dinner with friends. I have to post something. Deleting social media did not make me feel less lonely. In fact, I think it made me feel more happy with my life, and that reflected in the friendships that I had, and it made me stress less about my social life and what I was supposed to be doing with people at this time. Now, the issue with deleting social media, of course, is less opportunity to stay connected with friends. I get that a lot of the time I would post a story and maybe someone would DM me and we can interact through that. And obviously there are those interactions. But the question that I asked myself was, how often did that lead to an interaction in person or some sort of plan to meet up in person? In general, I found that to be very, very little. And the only reason I use Instagram and Snapchat now is to advertise when I post a new video. And I find that provides ample opportunity to connect with people. Besides that, I always find myself, when I re-download Instagram and Snapchat to post these stories, going back and back to the app for that day that I have the stories up and looking at the follower count, looking at how many people watched my story, looking at who watched my story. And it's ultimately draining my life and my focus. Life is so much better when I live present in the moment, when I get to experience everything and actually take it in, not listening to something through my headphones, but just walking around, looking up at the sky, feeling how small the world is, or feeling how small I am in this large world full of opportunity. And getting addicted to looking at social media and how many people watched my story was not something that contributed to that. And I can say that after deleting these apps, I felt monumentally happier. Now, in terms of actually reaching out to friends, I find that it's always been best to just text people, because when you text, people will get that notification, unlike some apps on social media where people have tons of Instagram DMs or tons of notifications on Snapchat. With all of that, I would just text friends to ask to do something, and most of the time it would be fine. I never had an issue with this because social media was never my main outlet of reaching out to make friends. There's always text and group chats and calls and in-person activities that allow me to meet people in real time. So as someone who deleted Instagram for a few weeks now, I can say that my social life has not changed, and the only thing that I got out of it was to feel closer to the people I already had and to be more content with my life. Because again, comparison is the thief of joy, which is a very cliche quote, but it does hold truth in the fact that when we compare ourselves to prodigies who are the same age or younger than us who are already so successful, it makes us feel terrible about the stuff we have already did. We can't always be the best at everything, and just taking the time to live life, know that you are progressing if you are, and to comfort ourselves knowing that we have been doing work to go toward our purpose is the best thing for ourselves, rather than trying to go on social media and one, try to not get FOMO, and two, try to not feel terrible when we see other people doing way better than us or enjoying a life that seems way better than ours. What to do with myself after deleting social media was one of the biggest questions I had. For me, it was more of the fact that I was studying for an exam, so I couldn't go on social media because I knew that I had to prioritize something. But if you're currently in the situation where it's the opposite way around and you find that you have a bunch of free time after deleting social media, what I would do first is to pick up a book or think about what you want to do with your life. Again, you can be in high school, you can be in college, you can be figuring stuff out, but trying to get closer to my purpose, I find is one of the most useful things that I can do with my life. Every single day, I find is a great day to pursue something that I actually enjoy doing. I used to be that type of person to say, oh, I'm going to be super busy now, but in the future, I'm going to have time to do this, which is literally never true because I still pressure myself to push myself academically, to do another thing related to work, or to have another experience that I can put on my resume. But if I take the time to do something that I love doing every single week or every single day for some sort of routine, I can say that I'm already enjoying my life. And again, I always will have to balance the life that I lead academically with my social life and the hobbies or passions that I want to pursue that will fulfill more of my purpose. But taking this first step of actually prioritizing the purpose or the hobbies that I enjoy has led me to a life that I'm much more content with and that I find much more enjoyable because I'm actively taking steps toward fulfilling that dream of mine. We are the generation of people who will be able to fight back against the tyranny of companies trying to control our minds with social media, trying to suck us in and waste our time. The unfortunate truth is that people who are much older than us, like our parents or our grandparents, either choose not to go on social media, which is perhaps the best thing that they can do, or they may download social media to try to stay connected with us and only get sucked into that algorithm that makes us watch short form content for hours on end and waste our precious time. I simply recommend sharing this idea with friends, with family, and not to be someone who tries to force people to do this, but to simply provide a perspective if that conversation comes up. I find that this topic is something that has definitely changed my life, and I think it's the first step of our generation going against the free apps that are simply using us for our time and influencing our minds, and it gives us the first step in taking back control of our lives, which is why deleting social media for me was the best thing that I ever did. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, and comment what you want to see next, and I'll see you in the next video.